Mr. Frasch, what are the results of the luxury goods consumption in comparison to your expectations at the beginning of the year?
It's evolving so quickly. I am not sure that we totally have a grasp of it. We've seen categories of business that were performing extremely well suddenly slow down. We've seen categories of business that we did not anticipate doing so well doing well. Let me give you some examples of that. Saks operates on a good, better, best model where we um, we service three ranges of customers, and we feel that's our really distinctive calling card as a company. Our good level, which is highly penetrated by what we would call American bridge designers, as well as our contemporary business, had been has been a real struggle for us. The contemporary business that was flying suddenly became soft because of, we think, lack of trend, and perhaps we had something to, perhaps we didn't manage it as well as we should, but I think it's pretty much been a trend issue. At a situation where brands became big and they started to operate like big brands versus operating like contemporary brands. Therefore, product became very predictable. So that has slowed down for us, and we're hoping that turns around. The bigger challenge for a company like Saks is our bridge business, which is our classic historical go-to-work business for, I would say, entry-level to mid-level executive women. The other area that we anticipated would be much stronger than it's been, because historically it always has been, during tough economic times, has been cosmetics. Now, cosmetics is ahead, but I mean, it's not anywhere near performing as it has historically performed.